All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little Golden State Warrior video. Lester Quinones signs a two-way contract to come back to the Warriors. And, of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, two locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week now in both locations from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out. So Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California, the title sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's talk a little bit about the latest news in Warriorland, and that is that Lester Quinones is signed a two-way contract to be a Golden State Warrior this upcoming year. And, I think this is a really good move for Golden State. Quinones is a 6'5", 210-pound swingman. He averaged 21.9 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game, and 4.4 assists per game, and 4.1 rebounds per game in 7 Summer League games for the Warriors. Now, the Warriors have the ability to sign two-way deals. Will Reggie Perry get the second one? We'll find out. But Quinones has got deep range. He was a 3-year starter at Memphis. He originally went to IMG Academy for high school. He was a 4-star high school recruit and then played 3 years at Memphis and came out in the 2022 NBA draft. And what he really is a 3-and-D wing. He made all AAC All-Star, all freshman team his first year at Memphis. Was in 2021. He was an NIT champion there at Memphis. And he's really a good-looking young player who's got a lot of shooting ability. So he returns to the team on a two-way contract. The Athletics' Shams Charania reported it earlier, but Quinones is 22, spent the majority of last season with the Warriors' G League affiliate, the Santa Cruz Warriors. He saw the court in 31 games in the G League last year, averaged 21.8 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 4.8 assists per game. So, this guy is going to enter training camp with a real opportunity to land a full roster spot. As I said, he averaged 21 in 7 Summer League games for the Warriors and really looked good. During the Summer League, he looked notably improved from the player that we saw a year ago. He just looked so much more comfortable, so much more under control. Really, though, he had what really impressed people was the final game where he had 32 against Toronto. And, this guy can really shoot the basketball. I really think that both Quinones and Guy Santos are capable of maybe earning roster spots this upcoming year. And so, now you got a player who can potentially develop in the G League in the hope of earning some regular season minutes with the Warriors, potentially earning himself a full-time contract maybe as soon as next summer. But there's just a lot to like about Quinones' game. He's a guy who's got just a beautiful stroke shooting the basketball. And when you watch him, you're like, wow, this guy has got a lot of potential to really be a significantly bigger contributor than what he's been, what he's been up to this point. So he went undrafted in that 22 draft out of Memphis, played at Memphis 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and then came out in the draft and didn't get drafted. But I really like him. I think this guy is a guy, he's more of an offensive player. Now, he can play a little defense as well, but I really liked his offensive game. When you look at him, he's got a really beautiful shot. He can get where he wants to go on the floor. You're talking about a guy who's 6'5", really athletic, and when you look at the roster that Golden State has right now, and you think about what kind of team they're going to have, you got Chris Paul and Steph Curry and Corey Joseph at the 1, right? And then at the 2, you have Klay Thompson, and you've got, Brandon Pajemski, and maybe a little Moses Moody. And then at the 3, you've got Andrew Wiggins, and you've got maybe a little Kuminga, maybe Gary Payton. Maybe Moses Moody can play the 3. But a guy like this can really help out both at the 2 and the 3. And I think defensively he can guard 1s, 2s, 3s, and maybe even 4s. So it just, the one thing about the NBA right now is you can never have enough shooting. Guys that can shoot the basketball are at such a premium. And when you look at the age on this team, Chris Paul's older, Steph Curry's older, Gary Payton's a little bit on the older side. Klay Thompson is an older player. So, I mean, you're talking about older players in the backcourt, and this gives you a player who can, at 6'5", can play the two, he can play the three, and he can give you a little youth. And I bet he'll wind up playing a little bit more than Warrior fans think as a two-way player. I think this is a good option as a two-way player. He knows their system. This is a mature player too, who can play off the ball. He can come off screens. I just love the purity on his shot. He understands the kind of the pecking order of this team, so that's a good thing as well. And I just think when you look at the age that the Warriors have in the backcourt with Paul, who's going to be 38, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, even Gary Payton, you got some older players. So you got to have some young player that maybe can be on a two-way deal like Quinones just signed, who can come off the bench, come out of the G League, and give you not just a body, but really somebody who's got some ability to score. And that's what Quinones does. He can score. And to me, I really like that. I mean, we saw him go for 26 in one of the games. He went for 21 in another. And then he had 30 in the game against the Raptors. So I like Quinones' game, and I also just think that this is probably the best kind of two-way player that Golden State's going to be able to come up with. He originally was born in Brentwood, New York, he's a player that is developing, and he's got some athleticism, and he's got some two-way ability. As far as he can play both ends of the floor. But what I really love is the purity of his shot. I mean, when you see this guy shoot the basketball, it's something to watch. I mean, he really has a pure stroke. And when he's going good, that shot's falling, and I think Golden State's going to be able to capitalize quite a bit. So, I would love it if Quinones was limited to a very small, amount of games. But, I think he's going to wind up being called on quite often. He grew up in Brentwood, New York. As I said, he started playing basketball in the 6th grade, and then he went to Brentwood High School. As a junior, he transferred to Upper Room Christian School in Dix Hills, New York, and averaged 19 a game there. And he was named to the 2017 Long Island Basketball Honor Roll. And then he went for his senior year. He moved to St. Benedict's Preparatory School in Newark, New Jersey, and he joined a nationally ranked basketball program. He became teammates with Precious Ajua, I believe his name is, who played at Memphis. And Quinones is he's a guy, I think he's got a little bit of a late bloomer. It's to me, he's a guy that, he was a good high school player. He was a 4-star recruit, and then he committed to play for Penny Hardaway at Memphis. He also strongly considered playing for Indiana, but ultimately went to Memphis. And you look at this player last year, he was the G League's most improved player. He made the all-rookie team in the G League. And this is there's just a lot to like. It's like some guys are bonus, are stars in high school, stars in college, and they just, they go in the lottery and everything's kind of, laid out for them. Other guys have to kind of fight the hard fight and go to the G League and prove themselves. And this guy really took advantage of his time in Santa Cruz and really developed his game. But the thing that I love the most about him is just the purity of his shot. So should be really, really fun to watch. He's of Salvadorian descent. His mother, through his mother, and Puerto Rican descent through his father. And he represents the Dominican Republic. So ultimately, I think this is a player who could wind up playing a more significant role than people even realize for Golden State. But overall, a really nice addition for the Warriors. All right, hope you enjoyed our Warrior video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Thanks to all you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.